The shadow of the blinds cut the morning light into bars across the bedroom carpet, cold and unforgiving, like the bars of a subtle, self-imposed prison. Do you remember the moment, the quiet second before the alarm, where the full weight of the day and all the previous days settled on your chest? It feels like waking up already tired, already defeated. That is the place where the deepest, most stubborn habits take root. It's where you promise yourself, for the 1000th time, that today is the day you break free, only to find yourself, hours later, back in the familiar, suffocating rhythm of the old comfort. It is a slow-motion surrender. Maybe it's the drink you swore off, the third plate of food, or the endless scroll that steals the hours you needed for real work. We've all known that person, the one with the fire in their eyes on Monday, signing up for the gym, tossing out the junk food, swearing off the poison. But by Wednesday, the pressure of a life already balanced on a knife's edge, the work, the family, the gnawing anxiety slices through that fragile new intention. The strict diet, the punishing routine, it all crumbles, and you find yourself returning to the old ways, often with a deeper sense of failure than before. If you're listening right now, it's because a part of you recognizes this pattern, this cycle of passionate start and painful collapse. Perhaps you're living it. But what if the problem isn't your weakness or a fundamental flaw in your character? What if the problem is the method? What if I told you there's an approach, a quiet, almost invisible system drawn from centuries of practical wisdom that allows you to hack past your own self-sabotage, an approach that honors the slowness of real, lasting change? This path, this way of building a life, is built upon a quiet bedrock of ancient Japanese philosophies: Kaizen, Ikigai, Harahachibu, Wabi-sabi, and Gambaru. It stands in stark contrast to the loud, aggressive world of motivational gurus and overnight fixes. It asks you to do something that feels almost absurdly insignificant, something so small you might dismiss it, right up until the moment it fundamentally changes the direction of your life. It is not about a sudden, violent transformation. It's about a microscopic commitment, honored without exception. The story begins with a man, Christopher, at the age of 40. His body had become a vast, heavy country. He barely governed a slow decline measured in kilograms and lost breath. He wasn't a bad man. He was just a worn-out one. 15 years, in the fluorescent hum of a warehouse management job, up before the sun, home after dark. A wife, 2 children, a stack of bills that never seemed to shrink. He had adopted the role of the provider, who forgets he is also a human being. His nutrition was a rushed transaction. Gas station coffee, a hurried lunch at his desk, and then the final, exhausted surrender onto the couch, dinner eaten mindlessly while the television played. The weekends were permission slips to numb the fatigue, pizza boxes and the hiss of a cheap beer can opening. "I earned this," he'd tell the man in the mirror. But the mirror never looked back with agreement. The body begins to whisper before it screams. The stairs became a monument to climb. Tying a shoelace was an internal comedy of errors, requiring him to brace himself, hold his breath, and wrestle with his own weight. His kids, a 7-year-old girl and a 9-year-old boy, were his first, clearest mirrors. When they asked to play, he'd invent a migraine or a sudden work emergency. His wife would suggest a simple walk, and the sheer impossibility of the effort would make him irritable. But the real pain wasn't in the shortness of his breath. It was the moment he realized his daughter had stopped asking. Think about that for a second. She had learned the perimeter of her father's capability, and it didn't include play. If you've ever seen a child's hope dim into quiet acceptance, you know the particular sting of that betrayal. He saw it in her eyes, felt the guilt curdle in his stomach, yet he did nothing, because he'd already failed. He'd tried the gym sprints, the no-carb diets, the frantic morning runs, all glorious 2-week campaigns ending in 3-month defeats. He had settled into the most lethal habit of all, the acceptance of his own defeat. This is just how I am. I'm too busy. My metabolism is shot. It's the sound of a spirit slowly dying while the body is still walking. The breaking point arrived on a Saturday morning, simple and brutal. Christopher was in the yard, not playing with his son, but sitting a static observer of a vibrant life. The boy kicked his ball, and it rolled into the neighbor's impeccably manicured flower bed. "Dad, can you get it?" The request was innocent. But the simple act of standing, walking, and bending was an enormous expenditure of will. He reached down for the ball and couldn't get back up. Not from pain, not from injury, but from the simple, terrifying reality that the strength in his own legs was insufficient to lift the weight of his own body. He ended up on his hands and knees in the soft, foreign soil, sweating, straining, while his 9-year-old son watched in a silence colder than any judgment. His neighbor had to lift him back to his feet. That night, the dam finally broke. Christopher sat on the edge of the bed and wept a raw, ugly sound of self-betrayal. He cried for the 40-year-old man who needed a neighbor's hand. He cried for the memory he had just built in his son's mind. "My father is weak." His wife entered, not with words, but with a silent, encompassing hug. And then, she spoke the truth that shatters all denial. "You need help, Chris. Really. Has so. Have you ever had a moment like that? A moment where the lie you've been living finally collapses? Don't let that memory fade. That pain is a compass." The next day, he called a friend, Marcus, who had successfully shed a great deal of weight and, more importantly, kept it off. Marcus wasn't just thinner, he possessed a quiet, deep-seated completeness. "I need the answer," Christopher pleaded. "The diet, the drug, the surgery, what was it?" Marcus paused. "I saw a doctor, Chris, but he didn't give me medicine. He gave me a philosophy." Christopher scoffed. "Philosophy doesn't make you lose weight, Marcus." "You're wrong, Chris," his friend replied, his voice calm. "It's the only thing that does." Christopher's Tuesday consultation was not in a sterile clinic. It was in a room of elegant, severe minimalism. A wooden table, 2 chairs, and a large window framing a perfect, quiet garden. The man who entered was Dr. Tishi Yamamoto, 65, slender, with the precise, deliberate movements of a man utterly at peace. He looked less like a physician and more like a scholar of stillness. Christopher told him the whole story. The crushing weight, the exhaustion, the shame, the horror of the flower bed. When he finished, he braced himself for the lecture on calories and cardio. Dr. Yamamoto didn't open a chart. He simply asked, "How many times have you tried to change?" 3, 4, maybe. "And for how long did each attempt last?" 2 months, a few weeks. The doctor nodded slowly. "Do you know why you failed?" Christopher launched into the familiar litany of excuses. Time, genetics, stress. The doctor raised a calm hand to silence him. "No, Christopher, you failed because you tried to win a 40-year war in a 2-month battle. Your body took 40 years to build this life. Your mind took 40 years to create these habits. And you think you can simply will it all away in a few weeks?" Silence. "I am going to make you a proposition, Doctor." Yamamoto continued. "I am going to ask you to make one change. It will be so small that you will think I am mocking your pain. So small that it will feel utterly pointless." Christopher, raw and desperate, agreed to anything. "Good. From today forward, every morning, before anything else touches your lips, you will drink 1 single glass of water. That is all. Nothing else changes. You can still have your pizza, your beer, your mindless evenings. Just add the glass of water." Detectedly, Christopher waited for the rest of the plan. The detailed diet, the exercise regimen. It never came. "Doctor, with all respect, I need to lose 50 kilos. A glass of water is nothing." Dr. Yamamoto leaned forward, his gaze deep and direct. "You are correct. A glass of water will not make you lose 50 kilos. But it will do something far more essential. It will prove to you that you can keep a promise to yourself. And that proof is the only capital you have left to rebuild your life." Christopher left the office, $200 poorer and completely bewildered. But the doctor's words had burrowed deep. A promise to yourself. How many Mondays had he betrayed? If he couldn't trust the man in the mirror to complete the simplest task, how could he possibly attempt to change his entire existence? That night, he filled a glass and placed it on his bedside table. A tiny, silent declaration of war against his own inertia. The next morning, at the familiar, suffocating chime of the 5 a.m. alarm, he reached for the glass and drank. Day 1, complete. Day 2, the same. By day 7, something shifted inside his skull. He woke up, And the very first thought wasn't dread. It was, "Where's my water?" His brain had begun to anticipate the small ritual. When he returned to Dr. Yamamoto on day 14, he confessed, "I feel a little foolish. I haven't lost an ounce, but I did it. I kept one small promise for 2 full weeks." The doctor's face opened in a genuine smile. "You have just mastered the first principle of our path. It is called Kaizen, continuous improvement through microscopic, unthreatening change. You did not try to conquer the mountain. You took a single, deliberate step, and then another. And that is everything." "But doctor, it's just water." "It is not about the glass of water, Christopher. It is about proving to your nervous system that you are no longer the type of person who gives up. You have built the most important muscle in your body, self-trust. Why then this es conceive the business so parted? The resisted it first to leave to my delid. Now," the doctor asked, "are you ready for the next step?" "I am. Keep drinking the water. Now, add one more thing. At every meal, put half of what you would normally put on your plate. Just half. You are allowed to have seconds, but only after you have waited 20 minutes. First, half." Christopher was silent again. It felt too small, too gentle. Yet he had kept his promise for 14 days straight. He had evidence of his own capability. "I will do it." What Dr. Yamamoto was doing wasn't just prescribing habits. He was introducing Christopher to a complete philosophical architecture. Kaizen, the 1% improvement, was just the key to the door. You don't aim for tomorrow's perfection. You aim for a single percentage better than today. Over a year, this compounds, not additively, but exponentially, building a fortress of discipline, one grain of sand at a time. The power of these small shifts is that they are keystone habits, small practices that create a cascade of positive change in every other area of life. The tiny win acts as the first domino, setting off the rest. The first week of the half-plate rule was a mental war. He would finish, and his old self would scream for more food, the familiar, needy voice of emotional emptiness. But he remembered the instruction. Wait 20 minutes. He sat with the discomfort. He counted the seconds. Do you know how many times, across 3 full weeks, he went back for seconds? Twice, because his body was not truly hungry. His mind was just spoiled. Unbeknownst to Christopher, he was being introduced to Harahachibu, the Okinawan wisdom of eating until you are 80% full. It's the practical recognition that the stomach and the brain operate on a time delay. If you eat until you feel full, you've already overshot the mark. At his next appointment, Christopher had lost 3 kilos. It is not the weight, the doctor reminded him. It is the direction. For the first time in 40 years, your body is moving in the direction of your intention, Christopher admitted. I feel in control. Because you are. The next step, Dr. Yamamoto announced, is movement, but not the gym. No punishing regimen. You will simply walk from your front door to your mailbox and back every morning after your water, before you leave for work. Christopher laughed. Doctor, my mailbox is 20 meters from the door. That is not exercise. It is not about exercise, Christopher. It is about creating the habit of movement. Your body has forgotten it was made to move. You are reminding it, gently, 20 meters today. Next week, perhaps you will want the corner. But today, just the mailbox. Have a light to it causes. Christopher followed the instruction. Water, half plate, mailbox walk. On the 3rd day of this ridiculous 20-meter journey, his 7-year-old daughter saw him leaving. Dad, can I come with you? They walked together, her small hand in his large, newly purposeful one. She chatted about school and her friends, the small, intimate details she'd stopped sharing when her father was too exhausted to listen. When they returned, she looked up at him. Can we do this every day? Can you picture that moment? What small, forgotten ritual in your own life would bring a moment of connection back? The next week, Christopher started walking further, not because the doctor commanded it, but because his daughter requested it. The weight began to melt away 8 kilos down by the end of the 2nd month. But the true transformation wasn't the number on the scale. It was the light in his eyes in the mirror. Dr. Yamamoto, in one consultation, asked the defining question, why are you doing all this, Christopher? To lose weight? No. Why are you really doing this? What is the fuel? Christopher finally, truly thought. I want to see my children grow up. I want to walk my daughter down the aisle. I want to be worthy of my wife. The doctor's affirmation was quiet, profound. That is your ikigai, your reason for being. Your purpose is not weight loss, it is presence for your family. The weight is just the obstacle standing between you and your purpose. That reframed everything. Now, when the alarm clock went off, he didn't fight for water or a half plate. He fought for his daughter's hand. Purpose is not fading motivation. Purpose is an internal, self-replenishing fuel source. 3 months later, 14 kilos gone, his clothes loose, Christopher felt an unfamiliar lightness. But then came Thanksgiving, the perfect storm of social pressure. His entire family gathered around a groaning table, plates piled high, demanding that he return to the old comfort zone. Dude, it's Thanksgiving. Forget the diet. His mother, concerned. Is that all you're eating? Are you sick? Social pressure is the silent assassin of transformation. Your change often makes others uncomfortable because it forces them to confront their own lack of movement. Christopher surrendered. He filled his plate, ate until he was nauseated, and felt the hot, familiar flush of shame. That night, the old voice returned. You broke the streak. You always give up. It's over. He didn't want to drink the water the next morning. But then, he remembered a single line from the doctor. You will fail. And when that happens, you will discover if you have truly changed. He sent a panicked text to the doctor. I ruined everything. I can't go on. The reply came instantly. Come to the office this afternoon. Christopher sat, defeated, expecting a scolding. Dr. Yamamoto entered, calm as ever. Tell me what happened. Chris explained the surrender, the pressure, the urge to quit. And did you drink your water this morning? Yes. And did you walk to the mailbox? I walked. Then you didn't fail, Christopher. You stumbled. There is an immense difference between a stumble and a fall. A stumble is a loss of balance for a second. A fall is when you stop moving completely. The doctor introduced him to wabi-sabi, the Japanese philosophy that celebrates imperfection, the idea that nothing is permanent, nothing is perfect, and true beauty lies in the cracks and scars. You hated too much one day. So what? That doesn't erase 14 kilos. It doesn't erase 3 months of presence. One imperfect day does not destroy a perfect journey. Christopher felt a profound internal relief. The crushing, paralyzing expectation of perfection was finally shattering. But what if I overeat again? You will, many times. And every time it happens, you will wake up the next day and drink the water. Because practice is not about never failing, it's about always returning. He said best sign was no other way. This was the key. For the first time, he was not trying to be perfect. He was trying to be consistent. And consistency, unlike perfection, actually accepts reality. Now, the doctor concluded, you have also practiced Gambaru, perseverance, the gritty ability to endure even when it's uncomfortable. You ate too much, you didn't want to continue, but you did the bare minimum, the water and the walk. That is the raw, unsung strength of endurance. In the following months, he stumbled again, a bad week of stress, a birthday cake, a night of too much pizza. But every time, he woke up, drank the water, ate the half plate, and walked. The falls became shallower, the returns faster, because his brain was learning, we don't quit anymore, we just keep going. By the 6th month, he was 23 kilos lighter. The change was crystallized in a simple moment. He went downstairs to play Lego with his son, got up on his own, effortlessly, and without thinking. That night, when his wife suggested a walk after dinner, he said yes without the reflexive exhaustion. His daughter asked to play tag, and he chased her around the yard, laughing, fully alive. His wife watched from the kitchen and smiled because the man she had married was returning. By the 9th month, 35 kilos were gone. He was no longer walking just for the habit. He was walking 30 minutes every day because his body craved it. His appetite was naturally moderated. He had crossed the invisible line. Christopher, Dr. Yamamoto asked, when was the last time you thought about giving up? Christopher paused, truly searching his memory. I don't know. It's been a while. You know why? Because you stopped trying to change and started living differently. It's no longer about effort. It's about identity. You are no longer a man trying to lose weight. You are a man who takes care of himself. That is the difference between temporary effort and permanent transformation. There's a list of the possibly bread. The doctor drew the 5 circles: Ikigai, purpose; presence for family; Kaizen method, 1% improvement; Harahachi-bu, moderation, 80% full; Wabi-sabi, compassion, embracing imperfection; and Gambaru, strength, enduring the discomfort. This is not a weight loss system, Christopher. It is a life system. You can apply this to your career, your finances, your relationships. Here's the waist in the Brex, where, in the 12th month, he went for the blood test he had avoided for years. The clinic doctor stared at the results, bewildered. Christopher, your cholesterol is down, blood pressure is normal, blood sugar is excellent. What did you do? Christopher laughed. I started drinking water in the morning. Have we self-delaced to the Pressigold? The doctor didn't get the joke, but Christopher did. It wasn't the water. It was the 365 days of small, better choices. 365 glasses of water, 365 half plates, 365 walks. He went home, stood in front of the mirror, and for the first time in 20 years, looked at his own reflection without shame. He still had a few kilos to go. His body wasn't perfect, but he saw something far more important. A man who had kept a promise to himself every single day for an entire year. By the 18th month, he was 52 kilos lighter. He was healthy, strong, and deeply present. At his daughter's 9th birthday party, he wasn't sitting on the sidelines. He was running, sweating, and laughing with the children. A parent asked him for his secret. He considered launching into the 5 Japanese philosophies, but simply said, one step at a time. Literally. That night, lying in bed, his wife held his hand. You know what I love most about your transformation? She whispered. It's not that you lost weight, it's that you came back. The man I married, the father our children deserve. You were physically here, but you weren't present. Now you are. Christopher held her hand tight. I almost gave up so many times. But you didn't. No, I haven't given up. This is the critical truth. Most changes fail not because we are weak, but because we try to change too fast. The human brain resists violent shifts. It interprets them as a threat to survival. But when you introduce a microscopic change, a less than 1% difference, you hack your own nervous system. You bypass the alarm bells. You don't need willpower, which is a limited resource. You simply transform your behavior into your identity. You stop trying to do and start being someone who does. The behavior becomes automatic. Christopher didn't stop at 52 kilos. The system he learned wasn't about weight loss. It was about building a life. In his 2nd year, he applied Kaizen to his career. 1 small improvement per day. He earned a promotion. In his 3rd year, he applied it to his marriage. His purpose with his wife wasn't just being married. It was building a partnership where they both grew. His daughter, now 12, told her friend, "My father is the most disciplined person I know." She grew up watching him stumble, fall, get up, and return to the path. She learned that transformation is not about motivation. It is about identity. And when her own life gets difficult, she will remember. She will remember that her father proved change is possible, one invisible choice at a time. That is the real legacy. The living proof that you can be who you want to be. When you change, you give silent permission for everyone around you to change too. Transformation is not contagious, it is permissive. Dr. Yamamoto, in his final consultation before retirement, told Christopher, "You know, you never needed me. Everything I taught you was already inside you. I just gave you permission to go slowly, to be imperfect, to keep going when it was difficult. But the strength was always yours. Doctor, I couldn't even get up from a squatting position. Physically, no, but mentally, you got up from a squatting position every single day of your life. Every day you woke up, supported your family, and endured the shame. You always had Gambaru. You just didn't know you had him. Very self-daughters on many brubly. What Christopher needed was not a miracle cure, but a system that respected his humanity. A system that didn't demand he become a superhero overnight, that accepted his fatigue and used it to foster transformation instead of fighting against it. The Japanese philosophies aren't about being perfect. They're about being fully human and continuing every single day. Now, let me ask you something, viewer. You have stayed with this story until the end. That means you are looking for the exit door from your own personal stagnation. You might be thinking, my situation is different. My problem, the procrastination, the alcohol, the escapism, it's harder. Your situation is unique, but the system is the same. The problem is never a lack of information. You know you should eat better, move more, sleep more. The problem is doing, and you can't do it because you are trying to win a 20-year war in a 21-day battle. Every time you try to do everything at once, you fail. And every failure proves to yourself that you are a person who can't do it. That becomes your identity. I am weak. But you are not. You are just using the wrong system. The path of Steel Mind is not about rapid change. It is about permanent change. You don't need 30 days of transformation. You need 30 years of consistency. And consistency only survives the bad days when the practice is simple enough to be sustained. So, here is the gentle challenge that Dr. Yamamoto gave to Christopher. Choose one change, the smallest one possible, so microscopic that you feel foolish doing it, so easy that you cannot possibly use an excuse not to do it. A glass of water in the morning, one single push-up before your shower, 1 minute of simple seated stillness, anything. Now, do this one small thing every single day for 14 days. Don't add anything else. Don't try to speed it up. Just do the one thing. And when you reach day 14, you will have proved something to yourself that is far more valuable than weight loss or sobriety. You can keep a promise to yourself, and that proof is the only resource you truly need. Then, you add another small, simple change, and then another, and before you realize it, you will be a fundamentally different person, not because you tried to change, but because you built a new identity, one microscopic, self-honored choice at a time. It may take you 3 years, or 5. It doesn't matter, because the time will pass anyway. The question is, 5 years from now, will you be in the same place, staring into a mirror of shame, or will you be looking into the face of a person who fulfilled every quiet promise they made to themselves? Ikigai gives you the reason. Kaizen gives you the method. Harahachi-bu gives you moderation. Wabi-sabi gives you compassion. Gambaru gives you the strength. You don't need them all today. You just need to choose one place to begin. And when you stumble, because you will, you don't give up. You just get back up, because practice is never about never falling. It is about always returning. If this story has settled in your spirit, I invite you to pause and simply notice the one small pattern inside your own life that you know, deep down, needs to shift. Don't tell me your ultimate plan. Don't tell me the whole mountain you intend to climb. Tell me the first, smallest step you will take tomorrow morning. What is the one microscopic promise you will honor without fail? Hold that image in your mind now, that single, tiny act of self-respect. The path is waiting, and you just have to choose to take the first step.